So here we are. I'm going to show you how I load it back. It's been ironed, and I measured again, make sure I got the right width and everything that I can work with. Mark the center, and in this particular case, I'm going to load to the center of the leader, which is here. And in some cases, I load to the center of the table, which is over here. It just takes it a little closer to the machine, especially the smaller ones. I always used to load to the center of the table because the leaders that come with the machine, whether they be 10 or 12 foot, which is what I have, they aren't square. So they would roll, they wouldn't roll square. So sometimes the center would be here, sometimes it might be here, sometimes it could be over here, depending on how it rolled. But with these, they roll square. So I normally load to the center of the leader. I use red snappers, and I don't know if I've said this before. I may have. And you have to bear with me if I repeat myself. Oh, and also, I have to be aware that this is a short, it's not 10 inches longer. It's only about 7.5 inches longer, 8 inches longer. So I got to be aware of how much I use up here at the top, because it's going to be crucial when I get to the bottom. And I'm going to load as close as I can to the bottom as well. I don't know if I've said this. I may have said it on the latest series that I'm doing now. I may have said it on one series that was filmed but not used because of the number of mistakes. I have red snappers that are 36 inches, 44 inches, 30 inches, and 20. It just depends on the size of the quilt that I'm loading as to what red snappers I use. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Several reasons I'm a long armor. One of them is that Elaine didn't like it. And considering I could have bought a new motorcycle, I figured, you know, we better take this power tool and make it useful. So it's created a hobby for me that has turned out to be exceptionally rewarding. So that's one reason. Elaine didn't do it. The other reason is red snappers. And I think I've said this before. If I had to pin, Red Cross might as well park a truck out at the curb, because I'm going to be giving blood. And I tried using zippers at the dealers once, but you had to pin to the top, the zipper part. The leaders were sewn on to the leaders, but you had to pin them to. I'm not pinning. So zippers were and I didn't load anything until my first set of red snappers came. I've got 2 sets. So this is how I set it up, and you'll see in just a few. Once again, I go off camera, and I should have walked around the other way, but I apologize. This roll, to me, is crucial. I've seen other long armors, and they may be comfortable with that and confident that it's being rolled smoothly and tightly, without wrinkles and without pleats and all that stuff, and that's fine. And if they're comfortable with that, that's the way they do it. This is critical to me, that this rolls smoothly, flatly, and if anything this is not cut straight, but I'm going to keep this edge as straight as I possibly can, because this is the edge that I'm going to watch when I'm doing the take-up to make sure that it stays straight. And you will see in just a few here, a couple more rolls, how this starts to get loose at this seam. Vertical seams, they do that. They start wrinkling. So I want to make sure that I keep this as smooth as I possibly can all the way. So I take a lot of time to roll the back onto the take-up bar. I can't just, I had a dealer that wanted to talk me into the powered roller, and I'm thinking, I can't press the button and do this at the same time. So that was out of the question. I do have handles on one end, the little twist, the knobs that you can just turn on. I have those on one end. On the other end, down at the other end, I have a what you might call a filter wrench, a strap wrench. I use a strap wrench on the other end. When I'm taking up a quilt, I have to loosen it on this side, but I take it up on this end because I use a mark. I mark the batting for my start points of every row, so that I make sure that I am getting it evenly spaced. That's set up in the graph, and you'll see that eventually, is all the way down, even and all the way down. And this is why I have two take-up leaders, because trying to hook a red snapper on this, it didn't work for me. Let me just say that. So I went and originally I changed from 12 to 10-foot leaders, and I ordered from the dealer, I ordered two 10-foot take-up leaders. Now, take-up leader is 40 inches. It's 116 wide and it's 40 inches in depth. These are. I made these, the originals are. They're 40 inches in depth, and then cut for a 10-foot, or a 12-foot frame. Mine are 44 inches. They're 4 inches more. I'm trying to eliminate having any end exposure when I do any rolling, because I don't want the end of because on the shorter ones, this gets exposed as you see the tape and stuff, and it could create a problem if something gets weak. So this way, when it rolls, it's rolling a lot of cloth with it. Okay, this is once again, I'm having to be really close. No problem, because I'm confident that the red snappers will hold it. But I got to be really close on this edge, because it's not quite 10 inches longer than the top. And that is why I use take-up leaders, because it just makes installing the red snappers so much easier, so much quicker. Not trying to grab this bar that rolls and moves and press down on it and push it. I don't have to do it that way, which to me is part of the keep it simple. This is simple for me. I've got a flag down here. It's got a blue line through it, Leo flag, a law enforcement flag. And I have an eagle down here on this end. If I bring the red snapper tubing up to his eyeballs, and I bring it on this end just to the bottom of the blue stripe that's going through the flag, it's relatively straight all the way across in relationship to the tape that I have on the table. So So I have a red side and I got a blue side. I have a red leader and I have a blue leader. And then the reason for that is that royal blue and gold are the highway patrol colors, and red and gold are the Marine Corps colors, and the red is the blood stripe that goes down to a NCO's dress blues. So that's why it's that way. Now, if I did my job up here, I should be okay rolling it down here with just using the little handle. That doesn't mean I'm not going to check it. And you have to watch, because you kind of want everything to roll together and to stay straight. So if it does, then we're good. Now, because I have a vertical seam, I also, when I roll it, I want to make sure that this seam stays straight. And I'm rolling with the seam. And this is why I say I don't really need to worry too much about side tension, because it's going to stay taut, because I'm going to put some tension on it, as you'll see here in just a second. Like I said, I probably load a back tighter than anybody else. I don't believe you can get it too tight, but I won't take it to that level. But I will put it in there tight. Going to go around and lock the take up. Locking the belly bar. There's the take up, there's the belly bar, and there's the tension. When this starts to rise down here on the end, I'm at where I want to be. Like I said prior, you can't make this as tight as a drum. You can't do it. And there's still plenty of, and you can tell, especially when you have a horizontal seam, when you got a horizontal seam, you can tell if your back is too tight, because the seam will try to stand up if it's got too much tension on it. Vertical, not so much. But I do load tighter than most, but it is what I believe provides the right amount of tension so that you don't get pleats, you don't quilt in something in the back that shouldn't be quilted in. And this way, and I don't have to use a lot of side tension often. Sometimes I do, especially when I get towards the end and this starts to sag a little bit, especially if it's actually too wide. If it's too wide, sometimes I just, I still center the quilt on the back, but in the case of, like, if it's a whole cloth, it's not a piece, that centering could move over a couple of inches. So this is going to be a little bit longer than that side. I always try to keep 5 inches on this side, and I let that side do whatever it wants because of the arm hitting my clamps if I have to use clamps. Not always, but sometimes. But anyway, that is the back. That's how it gets loaded. And if you take anything away from this, it helps you do something a little bit quicker, a little bit smoother, a little bit organized, then the whole series will be a success. I thank you so much. Have a fabulous day. Once again, quilt till you wilt. We do.